Welcome to the Ladies Kickin' Ass podcast, where we help you ignite your inner badass and create the service business of your dreams. I'm your host, Tanya Wilson, and together we'll dive into inspiring stories and expert coaching to set your journey on fire. Let's dive in. Hi, ladies. Welcome to the podcast. Today is going to be fire. And if you are a mom and an entrepreneur, and even if you're not an entrepreneur and you're a mom, you're going to want to stick through to the end of this one because my guest today is Scottie Durrett, and she is a mom of 3. She's a certified life and health coach, and she's the host of the Momplex podcast. She focuses on ending mommy martyrdom. Can't wait to hear what that's all about. By empowering moms to reclaim their passion and find balance in their life. And I can't wait to hear if she thinks that's possible, because sometimes I feel like I don't know. I just don't know anymore. So I'm super excited to have Scottie here with us today. She is a kindred spirit, big time. We have already written a book while we were talking before we hit record on this. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a good one. I think 2 moms that are building businesses that have kids and have a similar personality and not being afraid to say shit and fuck whenever it seems and is deemed appropriately just has a lot to talk about all the time, because those are the ones that are going to shoot it straight to you. And that's what we do on this podcast. And that's why I'm so excited to have Scottie here today. So Scottie, give us a little bit about your backstory. Tell us a little bit about you, and then tell us why you decided to get moms out of this bullshit mommy martyrdom thing that they do.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. I just got so fired up when you were going through what I do, because it's not that I haven't heard it 1,000 times, but it is 100% possible. I know that. I'm living, walking proof of it. Flashback 4 years ago, and I basically had a breakdown clutching a laundry basket, right? Literally froze in my tracks after I properly yelled at my kids for about 30 minutes trying to get them out the door. I literally slid down the wall clutching this laundry basket and just tears streaming down my face. And there was a voice inside my head that said, "Are you fucking kidding me? Is this it? Is this it? Are we done today? This is what life is going to look and feel like for it." And I had been avoiding that voice for quite some time. It had been lingering. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, in that moment, I didn't know what I was going to do then. I didn't have the answer, but I had the aha. And from that moment on, I was like, look, I don't know where I'm going to go, but I cannot stay here. And through that initial breakdown, I have now discovered, oh my gosh, first of all, I'm not the only one that feels this way. There are other moms who feel completely overworked, overwhelmed, overstressed, and frozen, not even sure what to do. And they feel like shit if they have this desire, I want more than just being a mom, right? There's a ton of guilt in there. And so as soon as I started talking about it, I realized, oh my gosh, there are other moms who feel the same way. We all need some support and help. Let me go back to school, become certified, start a podcast, and start telling the fucking truth. Stop sugarcoating stuff so that we can actually start to feel the way we all want and deserve to feel. Because when we feel the way we want to feel, we become the most kick-ass mom we've ever been. And those 2 things work together. And so that's why I do what I do, because I changed my life. I want to help change other moms too.
I love that you bring up the point of, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit anymore. No. I think for women for so long, it's been like, I'm fine. Like, which is the most fucked up place to be. Like, fine. I was just talking about this with my friend Summer. She's like, that word fine is like the most toxic positivity that women feed themselves ever. It's such bullshit, because why are we settling for fine enough? Like, I'm fine, I'm okay. Even though you're like ready to scream and run away and join a circus somewhere, it seems like it would be less chaos than sometimes the world that we have around us, because we haven't learned or have the tools or are working with someone that can help us figure out how to manage these things. So I love that. That's why I love having a podcast too. Like, stop sugarcoating shit. Sometimes stuff is hard. How many times, I'd love to hear a story from you, like a time when you have been like, as a mom, where you're like, this is fucking hard. and I'm not in a good place, but you had to like lie about it or be fine about it so that people didn't find you out. Is there anything that really stands out that you can
Oh my
remember
gosh,
about
I could
that?
take you on like the first 10 years of my motherhood journey. But real quick, before we move on to that, which I am an open book, I will tell you anything. The whole I'm fine, it's such a fucked up place to be, because how many times have you been riding home from school in the car with your kid and you say, how are you doing? How was the day? They say, I'm fine. You're like, that's it? And you're like, you come up with more creative questions because you're saying that's not an answer. So you demand them to answer you and come up with their true feelings and what's going on, but you don't give that back to your family, right? So when you're
Yeah.
huffing and puffing around the kitchen because nobody's helping you clean the kitchen, and everybody says like, hey mom, do you need help? You're like, no, I'm fine. Great. They're going to take you. Why wouldn't they take you at your word? Why wouldn't they trust that you're telling them the truth? And so then there's this weird test that I used to give to my family. And I'll tell you this story. I would test them, right? Oh, I'm fine. But then I would slam the dishwasher hard and just like huff and puff around thinking they still aren't helping me. They still don't notice. Why can't they notice? We live in the same house. Why can't they also notice that the kitchen needs to be clean? But I never asked. I never asked them for help, not once. I just tested them, but I kept telling them I was fine when I wasn't. So it was like, it was a lose-lose for everybody involved. And,
Yeah.
for the longest time, I lived, when I first had my kids, super insecure. I didn't know what I was doing. I read every mommy book under the plan. I highlighted and took notes in the margins of every mom book known to man. And how did it help me? It just made me more nervous. It just made me so overwhelmed and exhausted. And when my kids finally popped out, I was like, oh, they've never been here before. So there's no book written about them. So I really don't know what I'm doing. And I felt really, really scared and very insecure. So I started to copy other people in my neighborhood. I started to copy what other moms were doing, where they were sending their kids. I even started copying how other moms were dressing and how my house should be decorated, right? I was really trying to like, if I look the part, nobody will know that I'm literally crying myself to sleep every night because I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm worried that I'm fucking my kids up forever. And that was kind of, but I put on a show. I put on the Scottie is the Perfect Mom show. And then literally one day my body actually stopped working. It actually stopped responding to my mental cues. I was like, please walk forward. And my body said, we're not moving one more step. And so thankfully my physical body started to just put the brakes on, because my ego and my mind was not going to stop me, right? I was just going to keep hiding and pretending. And now looking back on it, I was like, I was so busy trying to pretend that I was fine. I really missed getting to know my kids. I really missed getting to know, who am I as a mom? Like, what feels good to me? I was so busy trying to do what other people were doing that I never really figured out my way. Now, I have no regrets. I'm always so thankful for the version of me. She worked her ass off. I wouldn't be where I am today without her. No shame. But what can I learn from her, right? What was she not doing for herself that really prevented her from feeling as good as she wanted to feel? And that was a huge thing for me. It was a lot of FOMO, a lot of comparisonitis, a lot of jealousy, a lot of gossiping, a lot of talking shit, a lot of surviving off of coffee all day and surviving off of wine. And I just never felt good. I never trusted myself. And that's really where I just didn't trust who I was as a mom, but I never even gave myself a chance to try, and that was kind of I didn't like the way that felt. I didn't like the way
Yeah.
I didn't like the way I felt. And that was a big thing I had to admit. That was hard.
I remember seeing I can't remember if it was on Pinterest or something, but it was a quote that said, your kids don't need a perfect mom, they need a happy mom.
Totally.
And like that it still kills me to do that, because I think when we first have kids like that, you don't know what the hell you're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to make the perfect birthday cake, and I'm going to make the perfect this, and you got to be dressed from head to toe in bows and ribbons and everything else. And this is a direct reflection of who I am and how I am as a mother, that you show up so much with that, you just make yourself go crazy.
Make
There's
yourself go
no
crazy.
time left for you.
Yeah.
And if we don't take care of ourselves, who the hell is taking care of our kids? It's not even us authentically showing up for our kids, because now we're trying to be somebody that we're not.
Seriously, you just made me think about that birthday cake, because the birthdays are a real trigger, right? The meal prep, the
Mhm.
birthday cakes, what you look like at the birthday party. And I remember my daughter had this massive princess phase where she just wanted to wear, one of the Disney princess dresses and the plastic shoes. And we had to go to
Mhm.
this birthday party, and she wanted to wear the Little Mermaid and wear the plastic Little Mermaid shoes. And I fought her on it. I fought her on it till she and I were both crying on the floor, because I wanted her to wear the appropriate smocked dress so she looked all appropriate. Looking back, I'm like, you know what? She just wanted to be herself. That's how she felt like expressing herself that day. And I fought her on it, which just exhausted me to no end. And it created so much insecurity, tension, and a lot of wasted energy. And if I had just kind of not sweat the small stuff and just gone to the party, I don't know that it would
Yeah.
have, I don't think the world would have stopped spinning. And in that moment, I thought that the world was going to stop spinning. And it's easier to say I'm 47. I can look back on life and I have evidence that, you don't have to sweat the small stuff. But it's just something that's why I'm so glad you and I have these podcasts, because what I definitely don't want is for another mom to have to wait till she hits her breakdown before she has a breakthrough. I want us to share what we're going through, because if what I'm saying can make a 1% difference in your day to day, how that will ripple into your future self. And that's kind of, I think it's so important for us to really be honest about when it's hard, about when we're fucking scared, about when we don't know what we're doing. And not only celebrate what's going well, celebrate what's going wrong and how we're getting through that, right? But also saying I'm fine and not feeling shame if you're freaking loving it, right? Like,
Yeah.
celebrate that. Why? What are you doing that's helping you freaking love motherhood that maybe I could try that too? Like, share some experiences with me. We're always just kind of stuck in this mediocrity, this kind of vanilla. We don't want to show that we're having a hard time, but we also don't want to be too braggy either. So we kind of sit in this space where we're like, oh no, just don't look at me. Everything's good. Everything's good. But maybe
Mhm.
there's more behind the story there.
Yeah, but how come you're not looking at me? Seriously. It is one of those things, like, don't brag because you've got something awesome. Like, how many, like, a woman can, like, earn something and she won't say anything about it. And
Yes.
then you will see, like, I don't mean to brag. Like, I don't really want to throw myself out there. Like, you fucking earned it. Like, talk about this stuff. The more you talk about it, my friend Carlin says the same thing. She's like, if we don't start talking about the fact of how women are winning in this world and business and how they're picking stuff up and showing other women what is fucking possible, more women are just going to sit back with great ideas in their heads saying, I can't do that because I'm not seeing it modeled for me anywhere. So even
Yeah.
if you're doing it for your children to say, my mom was a great mom. My mom showed up for me. Yes, maybe my mom didn't stay at home with me full time, but my mom
Yeah.
kicked ass. She ran a business. She does all of these things. What was so crazy for me that I never believed I could be where I'm at now with my home service company as a kid, I never saw women do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now for my daughter, she's like, why the fuck wouldn't I have a construction business? Like she
Absolutely.
doesn't even
Right.
know that there was a limitation that was there. So it's
Right.
really continuing to show up for yourself, which will impact your children. And I think for so much, we're like, how do I show up for my kids all the time? We're not raising kids, we're raising adults. Like they're
Yeah.
going to be adults sometime. Like
Yeah.
teach them the skills to become that. Otherwise, they're going to stay your children
Yeah.
forever. And if you don't believe that, try to hire people right now.
I love what you said though. If you're not taking care of yourself, who is taking care of your kids? And I think the same thing, just, if you're not speaking up for yourself, how can you ask your kids to? If you're not getting
Yeah.
yourself proper sleep, self-love, self-compassion, give yourself grace, pick yourself up, brush yourself off when you stumble and fall, how in the fuck are your kids going to learn that? Because that's not taught in school, right?
No.
Mindset's not taught in school. Confidence is not taught in school. Self-compassion, grace, none of that is taught in school. In fact, the more what's the word I'm looking for? The more the same they are in school, the more they fit into the appropriate box. And then the teacher
Yep.
can teach the group, right? So then it's our job to nurture that individuality, for them to know that when they come home, safe space for them to speak up, safe space for them to feel and process their emotions, safe space for them to try new things and expand. Like, kids are supposed to come into this earth and actually kind of test out, where are the boundaries? Is it this far?
Sure.
This far? This far? Great. They're not supposed to be here well behaved. They are supposed to have tantrums when you tell them no seconds on ice cream. They don't know any other way to, express themselves. It's our job to get our shit together so we can say, I get it. I see you. That's hard. I like second scoops of ice cream too. I'm here for you. You got it. We're going to get through this. You're amazing. Right? That's the kind of thing. But if we're not taking care of ourselves, how are we then able to meet our kids where they need us to meet? Right? It's like that whole thing too with, I grew up in a household where I became responsible in a sense for my mom's happiness. And there was a lot of pressure on me to be the perfect kid, the people pleaser, the always making sure that she was okay. And I swear I spent my whole life looking over my shoulder, second guessing every decision. How is this going to affect my mom? Is my mom going to be able to handle this? Does my mom have the capacity, right? That was never my job. My job was never to be put on this earth to make her feel happy and proud. My job is to live my life to the fullest. Her job is to live her life to the fullest and set an amazing example for me to learn from, right? But it's this whole responsibility, but I need it, it's like responsibility. To your point, there has to be a radical responsibility where we really take care of our own shit so that when our kids need us, we can be that soft, safe landing, but that's neutral, that's supportive, that isn't triggered by what the fuck they're doing. If we're triggered by something they're doing, that's on us, not them. What do we need to do to then go get ourselves together so that they can keep living their life and not holding back, thinking that what they're doing is upsetting us, right? And so it's a lot. We're in this generation where we're having to cut a lot of ties, but I think it's so exciting. I freaking love it. Like, I'm here for it. Let's cut all the fucking generational ties and like rewrite our story. I freaking love it.
Yeah, me too. And it takes you have to be brave to do that. You have to say, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I haven't spoken to my parents. I did not have a very nice household that I grew up in either. And my parents haven't even met my children. And there was a point in all of this where this sounds like, oh, that's so sad. It is one of the greatest things I have ever done for myself. Wow. And one of the most selfless things I've ever done for my kids, because I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of that situation. Why would I introduce my children to that?
Wow. Sure.
And those are things that you have to think about. Even people that have well, they've been my friends forever. Yeah, but they're drunk all the time. Like, why do we want to be around these people anymore? Yeah. Well, they're my friends, or they're my family, or they're my mom, or they're my sister. People put up with shit for so long. It's that example for these kids of being able to bring them up, cut those generational ties that have been holding families back for so long. Right. You look at the prominent families that you see, like the Rockefellers, or like people that have had all this generational wealth. They didn't start with that. Somebody decided, I'm going to go first. And now look at where they're at, like all these generations later. Like, be the first one. Ed Milet talks about that all the time. Like, you be the first one. Like, watch, you never know what your ripple effect is going to be. You probably will never even see what it is in your lifetime. But what it will do is set up the generations from behind you. I know in Jamie Kern Lima's book, she talks about that too. You're not crazy, you're just first. And many people in your family, when you decide to step out and be the authentic one and not sugarcoat shit and say that you're not okay and actually talk up and be your authentic self, they're not going to like that.
No.
Most people don't.
Most people
But the
don't.
more we do that, the more we have these beautiful friendships and these beautiful podcasts and the awareness for women that they're not going crazy. Because I know so many moms with postpartum, or they've been through a bad divorce, or they're just struggling horribly. They don't like being a stay-at-home mom. They don't like being a working mom. They want to be at home with their kids. Whatever it is, but they have so much fucking guilt, and they are so scared to just say it out loud, even to themselves, and admit that's what's wrong. So instead, we're taking all these pills and we're doing all of this shit that we don't need to be taking. We just need to be able to talk out loud about what is happening to us and how we feel. And
Yeah.
that should not be judged. And I think as women, we have to really be careful of this because I think women have done it to other women. They've made each other feel
100%.
like shit.
100%. There is a lot of judgment, and the judgment and the gossip, it really comes from a place of that person. And we all know this, right? Like we
Mhm.
judge what we either desire in someone else or what we wish we had. There's always a longing, right? There's something that always comes back as a reflection. I will say I lived as the I'm fine, this is just what I'm supposed to do kind of vibe, right? I bitched about it. I, gossiped and judged and bitched over rosé with friends. I was a loud mommy martyr, but I never did anything about it. And I just blamed life. I blamed kids. I blamed my motherhood. I blamed my genes. And, I kind of just had this like sitting on the sidelines of my life. I had a very victim mindset. And so I was
Mhm.
not in the habit of opening up and sharing, this is how I feel, to admit this is hard for me, to admit that things aren't working. I was really not in that practice. I was never, I didn't feel safe doing that. I grew up in the South, right? You grow up in the South, you're supposed to look a certain way and keep your mouth shut and kind of, kids are supposed to be,
Mhm.
if I had a tantrum, I was sent to my room because it was inappropriate, right? So I really, truly had to work through that belief that feeling a certain way was a bad thing. So to your point, it's not a switch that you flip, right? And it is just little tiny efforts and choices that we make every single day. But something that can help a mom who's feeling overwhelmed, it doesn't have to be everything all at once, right? It's just
Yeah.
like 1%, right? Could you just maybe instead of, slamming the dishwasher closed and feeling sorry for yourself, take a deep breath and go turn on a song that makes you feel good? What if we just put a positive, like one other thought in your head that could just
Mhm.
give you some hope that maybe it doesn't have to be so hard all the time, right? Those are the little shifts. And if you have a friend, I don't care if you haven't talked to her in 10 years, but if there's a friend that you're like, that's the girl, I think she's the one, freaking call her up, ask her how she's doing, tell her I just need to share, right? I have, my husband and I are very, very close. So I knew I could talk to him. That's who I started with. I started with this just someone I trusted, and I was just admitted I'm not okay. And that's how it started. And so it can be baby steps, but I do think it's a practice that we have to also not sugarcoat about, right? Like every
Yep.
single day you're choosing to take care of yourself. What do I need today? What do I need to take care of myself today? That's priority one. Okay. That's where we're starting. And that it takes a practice, but like you said, the ripple effect, you feel it really quickly.
Yeah. So if you were giving women like a couple of examples of things that they can start implementing into their life that are those baby steps, what would you
Yeah.
recommend to them?
Well, the first thing I always do is check on basic needs. How's the sleep? How's the fuel? How's the water? Right? Like we actually have to get our physical body into a place where it's strong enough to handle maybe some new habits. Habits are the very last thing. The action step is the very last thing. We have to go back and we have to, if you're not sleeping through the night, it's really hard to ask yourself to think about a different, you're just on survival mode, right?
Yeah.
So I would say, you've got to prioritize your sleep. Even if that means taking your phone and putting it at a different spot, far, far away from your bedroom, and getting the water, feeding yourself fuel, not just like a granola bar once every 6 hours or eating leftover cold mac and cheese standing up over the sink, right? Like properly fueling yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just, the biggest thing that helped me in the beginning was before my feet even left the bed. This takes 30 seconds. Before I even got out of bed, I just kind of hit pause. We're so used to like jumping up and immediately clocking into mom life. And our minds are racing about all the things we have to get done, even before we brushed our teeth. So every day I laid in bed and I just took a deep breath and I was like, Scottie, how are you? How are you today? And that's it. I don't even think I always had the answer, but I just started to notice that I was still there and I wasn't just on autopilot, that I was still
Mm-hmm.
me. I had really lost me in this whole thing. Now that in the beginning, it might not feel like a lot, but giving yourself some sleep, feeding yourself properly, and actually checking in with yourself, those are things you probably haven't done in a very long time. So your body's going to be like a sponge, like, oh my God. And let me tell you this, the second you start asking yourself, how are you doing? Your body starts to communicate with you. And as soon as you give yourself even 5 seconds to say, how are you doing? How are you doing? Your body's going to say, I have a pain in my neck. I kind of have a
Yep.
headache. I didn't sleep as well as I wanted to. I'm a little thirsty. You're like, okay, great. Let me go. Why didn't I sleep well last night? Let me go get some water. Why is there a pain in my neck? Right? You just start to all of a sudden notice you're still here. And that to me
Mm-hmm.
is like step one.
That's huge. Asking yourself, checking in with yourself. How many times do people, they don't do that? You
You
know,
do.
I can't remember what I was reading, but somebody had mentioned the thing of just having a 1 minute conversation with yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in your eyeballs and talk to yourself. And it was I think it was Ed's podcast, but it was between him and Jamie. Oh my god, it was so good. But she's like, look in the mirror and talk to yourself and actually really look at your eyes. She's like, when was the last time you ever spent time doing that? Like
It's
I'm like,
so
I'm in the
powerful.
mirror every morning, put my mascara on. You're like,
Totally.
you're not paying attention because as you're doing that, you're thinking, fuck, I gotta hurry because I gotta be
Yeah.
here. I gotta take the kids. I gotta do this. But just stopping, if you can give yourself 1 minute every day, like that's such a huge place to just start with because
Huge
you
place
do
to start.
stop and breathe for a second and say, you know what, maybe I'm not doing okay. We
No.
carry this like busy as a badge of honor. I'm so fucking busy. I don't have time. I'm this, I'm that. We have to stop identifying by what we're doing and how we're and instead of how we're being. How are you? How do you feel? Where are you at? And I
Mm-hmm.
think if we can even make this into a process where it's like, you know what, when I stop to eat lunch, I do this again before I go to bed. Like, how was
Love
your
it.
day?
How
Even
was
checking in with yourself. I know for me, I couldn't sleep worth a shit for years. I've always had a horrible time sleeping.
Yeah.
I'd wake
Yeah.
up having a panic mode, something about work, something about the kids, something about my husband, whatever it was. It was never stuff about me, like all the shit I had to do. But
Yeah.
before I go to bed at night, it's a big thing, like bookend my day. Like sitting down, this is stuff I got accomplished. This is the stuff I didn't get accomplished. And I do write that down. Stuff I wanted to do, stuff I got done, stuff I didn't get done. Because that is the stuff that would wake me up in the middle of the night.
Ah,
But
you
I've
got it
taken it
out.
out of my head. I've
Brilliant.
physically written it down, not typed it, wrote it down. It's
Brilliant.
like it just getting that out of my head has helped me sleep so much more because I've already acknowledged it. So it's not a surprise at 3 a.m. that I didn't get something done, which I don't know why that happens to our brains in the
Yeah.
middle of the night, but
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm telling you all this. I am not perfect, right? You and I were just talking about this. I was allowing life to I was a doormat this week, right? I was just letting life walk all over me. And I remembered,
Mhm.
oh, right. Nothing. I'm the only one that is allowing things to go on. But to your point, I love how you shared, there's all these beautiful things we can do for self-care, right? It's a general term, self-care, what we're talking about. It's more than the bubble baths and going to Target by yourself. Self-care is really about nurturing yourself from the inside out so that you don't have to escape life. You can really engage with your life, right? And I think that's a
Yeah.
big misconception that moms think, gosh, if I can just get that girls' weekend plan 2 times a year, that's my self-care. Hey, freaking plan the girls' trip. I fucking love it. But don't ask that to solve all your problems. That's lagniappe. That's a bonus. That's something you deserve, and go have freaking fun. Self-care is a necessity. It's not a luxury. And I think that's something that we often misunderstand. But I will say this, self-care is not created equal. What you choose to do that lights up your soul, that helps you recharge and recover so that you can show up at your best for your business and your staff and your kids, might look completely different from me. But we are
Sure.
worth doing the work to figure out what self-care needs to look like for us. I have a lot of moms
Mhm.
that will come to me and say, give me the magic morning routine. Give me the mom manual so I can do XYZ. I want this solved and this solved and this solved. Girl, I would love it if we had a mom manual. There is no mom manual because we are not all the same and neither are our kids. We have to write our own. But that's actually what is so fucking exciting. You get to write your own. You get to go out there and figure out, what do I need to feel my best? What lights me up? What's going to help me fucking love my life so I can enjoy every moment, even the crap ones with
Yeah.
my kids? I get to choose those things. Then I get to choose to do those things. And I think that's really important, that when you decide that you want to feel better, you are starting on a journey, and is something that goes
Mhm.
on for the rest of your life. And as your kids get different ages, your work changes, your relationships change, your needs might change. So we always want to be open to that, right? We always want to be open to understanding, where am I right now? What do I need? And starting with that check-in, that minute
Yeah.
check-in every single day will give you that information. When you say like, okay, what do you need right now? I'm trying to get my kid into college. Very different self-care needs than I had when she was in 5th grade. Amazing. What do I need right now to help me feel the way I want to feel right now? I'm checking in with myself. I need to take a lot of walks outside. I need to get away from my laptop and be out in nature. Do I walk for 17 hours? No, a 10-minute walk, right? And so it's just understanding that
Yeah.
self-care isn't created equal, and you deserve to figure out what that is for you.
Yes. And it's not something you have to earn. I
No,
hear women
gosh,
talk
thank you
like,
for saying that.
I haven't, I haven't gotten all of my stuff done, so I just can't, because they're thinking about self-care as an event. Like, I have to do this. I gotta go somewhere. I gotta do this. It's not. It can be 2 seconds. Go in a dark room or the bathroom and shut the damn door and just sit and let
Yeah,
it be quiet. Shut the
yeah,
light off. Let it be dark. I love to sit in my car before I get into my house. My husband's always like, "Why are you sitting in your car?"
I love
Like,
that. With my seat
I have
warmer
to
on
have,
and my music, love
yes,
it.
I have the music going on, or I'm listening to a podcast or something, and I like literally have to, okay, talk to myself to
Mhm.
go from, I have a very short drive from my work office to my
Uh,
home. And many times, because my husband and I work together in my business, that we will carry that all the way through our house. And we've been
yeah,
working really hard this year on shutting that off. So that for
yeah,
me is my tunnel time. Like, I'm driving home. I need an extra 5 minutes. Everyone knows, don't come out to my car. I just need a minute by myself. Sometimes, if it's been a shitty day at work, you might need to scream before you go in the house and start screaming at your
yeah.
kids. So, like, take that time, whatever it is for you, you're worth it. You are worthy of that time. You don't have to earn this shit.
I love that.
You
I'm
shouldn't
so
have to
glad you
earn
said
your
that.
own personal well-being.
No, you do not have to earn it. It doesn't make you a bad mom. And I love how you said, my family knows that this is what I need. That is beautiful. Figure out what it is you need. Share that with the people in your life so they can support you in that. It's not a
Yeah.
test, right? It doesn't mean you don't I think everybody in your house actually wants to help you. Like you said, your kids don't want a perfect mom. They want a happy mom. They want a mom that wants to be with them. They want a mom that likes them, not just loves them, right? But we can't like people in our life if we don't like ourselves. But I love your example. It's okay. You don't need permission. You don't have to earn it. Figure out what it is you need and share that with the people in your life so they can support you in that. Beautiful. Talk about bond. Talk about getting to know each other. Talk about the connection that creates in your house. You also then are showing your kids it's okay to ask for what you need.
I was
Beautiful.
just going to say that. That's a beautiful way of telling your kids when you need a moment too. You can also tell mom, I'm going to go to my room for a little bit because I need to have a moment by myself. And I will respect
Love
that
it.
and allow you that space. We
Yeah.
have to, I think as women, like you were talking about, like slamming the dishwasher, and you're like, God damn it, everybody can see that there's dishes in the sink. How come I'm the only one that's doing the dishes in the sink? And for so long, I would tell myself, like, I don't have to fucking ask you. Why am I the one that's in charge of everything here? Like, there's another person that's an adult that's here. Why don't you be in charge of this?
I
We
love it.
assume those roles and we do those things because we want to. And
Yeah.
then we get mad at people because they're not helping. I did the same thing forever. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, come help me. Come do this. And they're more than willing to come and help you do things if you say something. Otherwise,
They-
out of sight, out of mind, people aren't thinking the way that we think all the time. So it's
No,
so
I
important, work and
too.
everything.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I get so excited about that. I
Right.
completely agree. And it's what you just said. When you take that on, the people in our life start to respond to how we are showing up. Life doesn't happen to us. It's happening in response to us. So if No one is helping you around the house the way you think you should or need help. It's a good thing to ask, have I told them what it is I want? Have I asked for what I need? Or am I just waiting for my husband to magically wake up one day and just become somebody who decides that he loves the dishwasher? I'm like, I waited for years. That is not, my husband is just not the kind of person that wants to do the dishes. It's just like the Vince Vaughn movie, right? He's like, why would I want to do the dishes, right? But it's this weird testing, right, that we can do, because it all goes back to what you were saying. It is scary to admit that we're not doing as well as we want to do. And it's scary to put our desires out there because, oh my gosh, what if we don't get them? But what's even scarier is like, what if I do get them? Right? Then everything that I've thought maybe isn't true. Right. And it, like, maybe life doesn't have to be this hard. Maybe I could actually enjoy things. Maybe I could sleep better and laugh more and have fun. And I don't have this price to pay for being blessed with kids. Right. There's this interesting wire cross where we can kind of fuck ourselves over with the gratitude. I think gratitude can become very toxic if we're not careful. Right. I want more. I love my kids, but I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. But then your mind will say, yeah, but there's moms out there who can't even have kids. You should be grateful you even have kids. What's wrong with you? You have a roof over your head. Why do you need more? Go be grateful for all the blessings that you've been given. Isn't that enough? And so there's this interesting way we can stop ourselves from going after the quote more, because we're thinking, you're right. I should be grateful. I'm so lucky. I'm healthy. I can pay a flat tire bill. I can put food on the table. There's people out there who can't put food on the table. And of course, we all want everybody, like, there's beautiful things that we want. But how are you actually helping that cause by holding yourself back? Right? Like they don't actually, like, the person who can't actually put food on the table, she doesn't give two shits what you're doing. She's focused on herself. But what if, and this is a big what if, but what if you go out there and pursue your dreams? Then you create more time and energy. Then you create more confidence. Then you're able to volunteer and start helping out back in your community. And then you're able to actually help that mom who needs help. I just think there's this interesting way that we can, like, stop ourselves and, like, shame ourselves for wanting more. But I truly believe that if we desire something, it's meant for us. That's our compass that's trying to nudge us in the direction that we're meant to go. And every time we stop ourselves, we're holding ourselves back, and we're really it's just going to create a lot of exhaustion and like that thing where I just don't have any time for myself. This is just temporary. This is just what a mom is supposed to do. Those are all excuses. And I get it. It's scary, but there's so much beauty. What if the opposite were true, right? What if going after what you wanted actually allowed you to make more of an impact in the world than you're making right now? So,
Yes. We have to stop thinking that the word more is a negative word.
yeah, it's not.
It's not at all, because the more you have, the more it actually magnifies who you are as a person. And good
Mm-hmm.
people with more do lots of really amazing things for people that
Yeah.
don't have it.
Yeah. And we're all here for a reason, right?
Yep.
We're working so hard to create this beautiful life for our family, but we're too miserable to enjoy it. What's that point? Right? And something this is, I'm a spiritual person, and something I think about a lot is, like, I wasn't put on this earth at random. I really don't believe in that. I think everybody has a role, and we each have a unique superpower that is only inside of us. And when we're tapping into it, then we're able to share that gift with other people. But if we're holding back, then we're not really activating that superpower, that thing that makes us uniquely us. And I think every single human has something so special that is to be shared with the world. But if we're hiding, if we're lying to ourselves and saying that we're fine and we're going through the motions and we're living on autopilot, we're missing out on that. We're missing out on interacting with that superpower and sharing it with other people. And then honestly, it's the same thing with swimming. If you don't know how to swim, how can you teach your kid? If you don't know how to tap into your superpower, speak up for yourself and design a life that suits you, how can you help your kid do the same? Right? It's just I think about it all the time. Like you say, I have to go first. I have to be brave. I have to go test those waters. It's going to help me enjoy life, become more of who I am. And then I can say to my kids, I promise you, the water's safe. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. We have to stop expecting out of them what we don't expect out of ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because many times we tell them you can do and be whatever you want to be. However, we've got a dream on our own hearts and we're like, can't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe later when they're older, maybe then I can do
Yeah.
this. Maybe
Yeah.
then, like, later is not a day on the calendar. And if you wait for later, you'll never get it done. You'll never get it done. You have
Never.
to start, even if it's in small increments of little things. I've always
Yeah.
wanted like a group of women and like build a really big fucking table for cool chicks to come together and have conversations with. If that starts by just having one podcast a week or
Yes.
couple podcasts a month, sometimes that's what ended up happening.
Yeah.
I didn't quit. And we keep going. And then we have 2, and then we get 3, and then it becomes something that people can't wait to come and sit at.
I
And
love
that
that.
is a beautiful, beautiful thing to do and to be able to show our kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not this big race, it's not this instant gratification. You're not going to have the magical morning routine that's just going to light your world on fire. Because what some people do for a morning routine sounds like hell to me. That's not going to fire me up for the day. Like, I need to get up and I need to do specific things in the morning. If people are like, I get up and I go to the gym, I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym first thing in the morning. Like, that's an afternoon thing for me. I got to wake my brain up first. So there's no magical thing to anything. What you do, Scottie, and what I do isn't going to be what is going to be right for you as the listener listening to this.
Yeah.
Sit down and
Exactly.
think about, what do I need in the morning? What do I need in the evening? Where are my pain points? And write that shit down. There's so much power in just getting things out of your head and putting them on
100%.
paper and being able to look at them and think about it. We don't spend enough time as women, I think as humans, period, sitting and thinking about stuff. We're doers. And if you're high achieving women, which most people are that's listening to me or you talk here, it is like,
Yeah.
gotta go to the next thing. You look at your calendar and it's just a big fucking to-do list all day long. At what
Wow.
point do you stop and like think about what just happened in that meeting and take the next steps?
Yeah.
I know when I was doing a
Yeah.
lot of networking stuff, you go to the networking event, come home, cook dinner, do this, do this. A week from then, you're like, oh, I met that really cool chick. Oh, what was her name? I don't even remember because I didn't connect with anybody. So we do so many cool things and we learn so much and we get so much, even from this podcast. I would challenge people, sit down. What are the things you struggle with as a mom? What are things you want to see happen in your life? What are you really fucking good at? Because sometimes it's not just about the stuff that we're lacking. Like, celebrate yourself with stuff so that
100%.
you're not constantly in that like merry-go-round of feelings of like,
Yeah.
I just can't get off of this. I think a
Yeah.
lot of moms end up in that space like you
Yeah.
did, as you start sliding down the wall, like, get me off this fucking ride. It's the same
Yeah.
thing over and over and over because we forgot about ourselves.
Oh my gosh, totally. And I love that. It's such a good reminder. Actually, if someone's listening, don't even think too hard. Think what comes to your mind. What resonated the most out of what you and I have said today? That's your guide. That's lean
Yeah.
into that, right? Don't try. It's that is a good practice of, we were saying, like, what is important to me? What am I interested in? What really resonated with me? Because that's your information that's going to tell you, oh, I should focus on that. I love when she said I needed to have a round table full of women. I want company. I want women. Amazing. That says a lot about what it is you need and want to thrive. How can you go connect with somebody today, right? If what I said about sleep, you're like, I'm so fucking tired. Great. That's your priority. That's what we're working on, right? Go get yourself the rest that you need and deserve so that you can wake up tomorrow feeling stronger, right? So I think it's also not to your, like, we try to be so appropriate and do everything 100%. But sometimes it doesn't, we just can be a little bit more simple, just a little bit more simple. And that's honestly too why I start with the basic needs. So many times when moms call me, they just are so done with the pain. They want the pain to go away and they want that magic pill, right? They want the one click Amazon button and they want everything to be fixed. But a lot of times we actually have to go back. We have to go backwards and kind of start from the beginning. It's like, okay, what kind of relationship do you have with yourself? Are you treating yourself like your best friend or a piece of shit? Right? Because we're not establishing one new habit until we figure out how we can build that relationship. But it's, checking in with yourself. I love the talking to yourself. And sometimes in the morning, I'm like, good morning, gorgeous. You can do it. You got it.
Yep.
Go out there and slay. Right? Like, there's nothing like a pep talk from yourself. It's incredible.
Yeah. Make them pep talks too. I'm so glad that you said that, because a lot of women are going to go to this default mode of like, oh, look at my hair and blah, 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 and all of this bullshit. Like,
Mm.
if you're going to talk to yourself, it better be good shit that you're saying there. And don't
Yeah.
sugarcoat things, Like, I'm having a really good fucking hair day today. It looks great, Like, say that. You're like, this new curling iron is amazing. Be happy. Put a little pep in your step and don't feel bad about it. When we make these lists of things, I see this with people too, even when I'm working with my team. Write down the problems that you see. Write down the things that you want. It's like your brain instantly will think of something, even if it's negative as shit. It'll be like, oh, well, it's not that bad. And you'll try to rationalize it. No, you got to write down the first thing that comes to your brain. Because if you're
Yeah.
really going to work through these things and get into a place of pure, real, authentic happiness, you can't be trying to correct sugar-coated shit.
No, you'll be on the wrong path. It won't work.
Mm-hmm.
It actually won't work, right? If I'm not honest about then we're trying to fix the wrong thing.
Yes.
And I say that actually, you're not broken. No one needs fixing.
Yeah.
It's really just getting to know yourself again and making yourself a priority. Yeah. No one's broken.
Okay to say, yeah. And it's okay to say, I got some shit that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Because we're not perfect.
I want to feel better. No.
It's okay to say that.
Feeling good feels good. Feeling good feels good. Let's lean on that. Like, that is a good fucking motto. Like, feeling good feels good.
Yes.
There's a lot of good happening around you. Like, let's focus on what all the miracles you're pulling off. And I want to get moms to a place where they feel so fucking good. They're able to enjoy all the magical things they're pulling off every day. Right. It's just.
Yes. Oh, I love it. So on that topic, tell them how they can connect with you so that they can feel like that.
Thank you. I am always on Instagram. That's my zone. And my DMs are always open. I am exactly what you see. So please connect with me. I love getting to know you. I want to hear what's going on. I'd like to know. Let's not sugarcoat things. I want to help you feel better. I've got my podcast, which is the Momplex podcast. I drop 2 episodes a week, always diving into topics to just help a mom thrive, because when moms thrive, their kids thrive. And I have a one-on-one mentorship. That's really where incredible transformation happens. And this is honestly, it's like a mentorship written by a mom for a mom. So I fucking get it, right? I literally understand. And I'm taking you through what I took myself through. And I also have group support systems. So there's so many ways to get into my world. And there's so many ways to feel supported and seen and heard. And that's why I'm here.
And if you have not listened to Momplex, you must do that right away. And I will link all of this stuff in the show notes. But that podcast is authentically you, Scottie. And I love the way that you talk. It is just like, none of this shit is scripted whatsoever. She talks from her heart, and it is a beautiful thing where you're like, I felt like that today too. And sometimes you just need to turn that on. Scroll through. She's got a bajillion topics on there. You've got over 200 episodes on there. And sometimes you just need to scroll and you're like, yes, that's how I feel today. And it's like sitting down with a girlfriend.
Your episode is dropping.
The podcast.
You're so sweet. And everybody needs to go. Your episode is dropping in 2 weeks. So I'll be sure to send you all those links so everybody can come hear you on the Momplex podcast. It's such a good episode.
Yes. I'm so excited. That was also a very great conversation. Very, very great conversation. I just adore you. There isn't enough women out in the world right now that are brave enough to talk about the stuff that you talk about. And it makes me emotional because it's such a rare thing to find somebody that is consistently authentic like that. I think that's such a buzzword in today's society. You'll see people on Instagram and they'll talk about a few things, but not quite here, and a little censored on this side. And I just feel like you show up the same in all the stuff that you put out there. So that's a huge testament to how much she can help you if you are looking to work through some things as a mom and beat that burnout and stop playing the martyr situation. Stop slamming the damn dishwasher.
Stop slamming
the damn kitchen back.
Stop slamming the damn dishwasher and ask for help.
Yes, 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 yes. Do you have any other programs or anything else coming up that people can be excited about, or just stay tuned
Yeah,
through Instagram?
I am always, this is just brand new and I'm so excited about it because I know, you and I are saying all these incredible, beautiful things. Go love yourself, go figure it out. But I understand as a busy as shit mom who literally doesn't even have time to pee by herself, how in the world are you going to figure out who you are, what the fuck you want, and how to make that happen in your day? I get it. It's incredibly hard. So I'm here to help you not have to figure it out. I'm going to be putting together a how to take care of yourself as a busy as shit mom program. It's going to be coming out in March and the wait list is open. Details are still being worked out, but it's going to be a group program. So you're going to be in the room with other moms who are literally like, girl, I see you. I get it. Let's work on this together. So you're going to feel so supported. I'm really excited about it. So I will drop my website so you can get on the wait list. And that way you'll be the first one to know as soon as this stuff releases. But I'm really excited about it.
That's exciting. I want to be in busy as shit moms because that will make me feel better. Find that community. You really have to. I think that's one of the biggest keys of really getting out of this shitstorm we put ourselves in, is really finding a community where you can connect with women. I feel like I could sit down and talk to Scottie all afternoon and we would never run out of things to talk about. Those are the
100%.
kinds of women that you want to run into. These are the kinds of women we could pick this up 6 months from now and still continue on as if we had talked to each other yesterday. Those are the kinds of women that you need in your life if you find yourself in this busy as shit season of life, of motherhood and everything else. Because it's what that is, a stress reliever, not a stress inducer, which sometimes you can find in some of those women's groups. So
that's true. That is true. We are going to be stress relievers. This is going to be fun. Oh, you're amazing. Thank you so much. You have the best energy. I just adore you. You're a badass. You're just awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. I love this so much. So at the end of every podcast, Scottie, I always ask everybody this question because I am writing a book, and my book is all about everyday women that are out there kicking ass and in the really unique ways they are doing that. So when people hear the phrase ladies kicking ass, it can mean a lot of different things to different women. And so I always love to ask everyone, when you hear the phrase ladies kicking ass, what does that mean to you?
Oh my gosh. So it's coming. That means she is using her voice. She's tapping into what's going on the inside. She's not worrying and stressing about what's going on around her. And she's not apologizing for what feels good to her and what she wants. And she's blazing a trail, right? She's exactly what you and I were talking about. She's just like, you know what? I've got this desire inside of me. And if I don't follow through with it, I just don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to have to trust and believe in faith, not fear. And just know that if I go out there, it's going to make a difference. And that to me is a lady kicking ass. Like, she's going out there, she's using her voice, she's believing in herself, she's doing it scared, and she's not apologizing for it.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. So good. So, so good. Well, thank you so much, Scottie. This has been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you for showing up and just laying it out and having a great conversation with me. And everybody, be sure to check her out. Follow the stuff that she's doing on Instagram. Even if you need some little pep talks, the little videos, jump on that podcast, listen to those things. You are not alone. And there are 2 women here that would love to support you if you find yourself in dire straits at some point in time and you're like, I just don't know who to reach out to. Find women like us that are out there, because we want to be here to help you. And that's why we continue to put out podcast episodes and let people know you are never alone. There's always someone that is out there wanting to help you. So definitely use your resources. And here's 2 great ones for you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being part of the Ladies Kickin' Ass community. Cheers to all you badass women out there. Keep rocking your power, igniting your fire, and making waves in the service industry. If you loved today's episode, please do me a quick favor. Take a screenshot, post it, and tag us at Ladies Kickin' Ass. Be sure to include the link to your favorite episode. Your support in spreading the word means the world to us as we aim to empower even more women. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more kick-ass episodes. And don't forget, a 5-star review is the ultimate high five. Connect with us on social media. All the links are in the show notes. Thank you for being part of our tribe. Now go kick some serious ass, lady.